He does take a round, and it's starting to get scary because look at how many of these marksmen leveled. And they are going elite levels. We have some wasps. Yeah, I guess that makes sense. I think I also went for the wasps, even though it's not exactly a good thing to feed level... no, I think I didn't go for the wasps. I think I went for either the sabers or the Vulcans. I was thinking about that, but I'm really not a fan of putting high-level wasps into marksmen, because you usually don't have enough of them to really matter, and they still give a ton of XP to the marksmen when they get plinked down. My opponent, however, did most certainly expect me to go for the wasps. He has area specialization. I guess in his mind he's fighting an area specialist that could get access to 2 level 3 wasps, but my plans are entirely different. Here is some sandworms. I do also have the Vulcans here. Just look, the health of these fire badgers is greater than the health of this Vulcan, which is absolutely insane. I do put them at the very, very front. So my opponent does have air spec on wasps that legitimately have nothing to fight in the air, but also I have no upshoot. I think there's literally 0 units on my side of the board that can aim up. So the wasps are 100% uncontested. This may also have been one of the reasons why he definitely expected me to go for the wasps, have some anti-air against his wasps. The sandworms don't accomplish much, they just get shut down by the marksmen. Their DPS is too great, but they did help a lot of other units get into range. At this point the Stormcrawlers are kinda outranged by the marksmen, but once they do get into range it starts getting awful for the marksmen that do get splashed. However, the wasps are definitely enough to turn this one around. They alone could have by default won the entire round. That fire badger is just refusing to die. I think it's regenerating health under the attack of the marksmen and wasps, but it can't possibly tank all of these marksman levels. We have a redeployment, orbital javelin, even tank production technically could get some value, because that is a bunch of marksmen that won't be firing as much. I do, however, pick the redeployment, because I realized maybe these are a bit too far forward. But we're gonna discover something that I think I didn't know, and my opponent most certainly didn't know. He does throw a javelin down here, but I have no real intention of getting that Vulcan into action. I think I just plain sell it. Meanwhile, my own oil is back and ready. My own incendiary is back and ready. My opponent does throw down a shield. I'm not sure he has the money. He should definitely throw down some additional shields. I need to kind of think about what do I do against my opponent's air units now. Because he does have these wasps, and I have literally 0 units that can deal with those. I don't have AA on the worms, but it wouldn't matter anyway. I'm now going for the sandworm with underground maintenance and sandstorm. That should make them much more survivable. And I should hopefully also drop some missiles. I drop another sandworm in the middle. Alright. I guess I just plain ignore the wasps this round. Am I really expecting to win against the wasps anyway? I'm not sure. Right now these are an absolute nuisance. But they don't do big damage if they're the only thing that survives, and neither do a lot of marksmen. Unless it's an astronomical quantity of marksmen. So the javelin hits some stuff. The worm goes underground and regenerates, but I guess the fire badgers would have to be further up. Because the worm just kinda gets gunned down while it's stuck on chaff. It is, however, still working. It is healing underground and healing for a very decent amount. Meanwhile, now these marksmen have reduced range and reduced damage. You can definitely see the worms working. They are getting some stuff done. Worm, fire badger, I guess, is a unit composition in itself. Probably not a particularly amazing one. It gets countered hard by scorpions. But against this amount of marksman spam, it does actually work. So, my opponent has these wasps, and probably that's the only thing he's going to have this round. My worm is on the tower and it's going to get that killed very quickly. But once again, there is nothing that I have that can deal with these wasps. I just don't have anything that shoots up. My entire army is ground. So now we're going to see if the worm and the fire badgers, and mind you, these are the currently level 5 fire badgers with over 51,000 health, and the worm that is clocking it at over 111,000. Yeah, they can actually tank this, and that means my opponent eats a bunch of damage that I bet he'd rather not have eaten. Underground threat, improved war factory, assault stormcaller, probably that isn't even a bad choice here. And, well, I don't even know what else there was. Ah, yeah, the enhanced module. Since I can level that sandworm in the middle, I go for it, and my opponent is thinking, surely EMP is going to work. Well, let me tell you, EMP is not working against worms. At least not the EMP from Marksmen. And I'm gonna show why. Because there is a bit of a problem in this calculation that we will probably see very quickly. I'm going to keep my selection on this sandworm here. And you will see what happens when it probably gets hit by EMP really quickly. There's an arc light in front and a missile to... Or is that my missile? Okay, we both have missiles here. It's a missile for each of us. This is to get rid of the other person's chaff in that location. I now go for double take wasps. I don't want to deal with Mustangs going into wasp range instead of the other way around. So I decide to drop double take wasps and hopefully kill my opponent's air units finally. I finally have some anti-air. Yay! Alright. This worm... Hang on. Did it not get EMP'd yet? Now it got EMP'd. I don't know. It was showing the EMP effect before, but I didn't see the text disabled. So as you can see, it is definitely and permanently EMP'd. Now it dives. It doesn't heal. Suddenly the EMP wears off, it goes faster and starts healing. Same process. And there it is again. Starts eating some marksmen. Starts eating some more marksmen. And it is not stopping. It is getting low, but now under tower degradation, and with the EMP slowing it down further, it is actually so slow that the EMP wore off and it healed to full, all while underground. I still lose the air war. I guess these level 1 wasps couldn't defeat all of the air and anti-air that my opponent had, but you can clearly see the power of these worms. One of them dies, but there's another worm. And that worm can level yet again. It is eating damage. EMP wears off underground. It sandstorms again. It still dies. But at the same time, it shows that the strategy itself is actually working properly. And this worm is only going to get harder and harder to stop as it levels. I pick the Sabertooth probably to sell it. Yeah. My opponent is thinking about what to do. Well, I think I know the correct answer. The correct answer has to be Scorpions, because Acid Scorpions is one of the only things that can stop high-level worms. He goes for the Rhino. I guess he puts it right in the front in order to deal with that sandworm, which is fair. This Rhino does a very decent amount of DPS and has a somewhat comparable amount of health. I also picked the Sabers for another job. I can now photon these worms, although in retrospect I don't even think it was necessary to do that. The worms kinda are EMP resistant in that sense. I am getting a load of EMP myself though. Both the Stormcallers and the Wasps now officially have EMP. I am repositioning this worm slightly, and yeah, I guess I can let this board ride now. It is very important to note that the EMP of the Marksman only lasts for like 4 seconds, I wanna say, before it starts wearing off. So by the time that the worm is diving, it is already like 60-70% gone at least. Yeah, it's more and more chaff. I guess that is a way to deal with it. He also leveled and air specialized ranged the Wasp, so the tech finally has a purpose. My Wasps also have EMP now. The photon hits the worms, so they are officially even more tanky and EMP resistant, which I guess helps with their damage as well. The rhino does have armor, but it goes down. However, it is doing enough to kill the fat worm. So at least for this round, it is officially working. However, I have more wasps, and I still have an amount of sandworms. Well, I say an amount, I still have one sandworm. But sometimes one sandworm is all you really need. And I still have these Gigachat fire badgers starting to push into level 7. It grills the tower super quickly. However, there is level 5 wasps at my tower. Even through a tower debuff, they can do decent damage. My anti-air is once again done for. I only have the sandworm on the ground. It's a level 2 sandworm, so it's not nearly as powerful, and it very quickly dies into these marksmen.